It's 1992. I'm living in Japan, and I'm teaching English to make money. I'm drawing a cartoon strip for a national English language magazine, and I'm studying Zen Buddhism. And I have this idea of mountain biking across the Silk Road, which used to connect Asia to Europe. I have visions of myself bicycling through Mongolian mountain ranges, Russian deserts. I can smell the spices of the big bazaars in India, and I can see the steam rising from the Turkish steam baths in Istanbul. And having seen it in my mind, it made it feel doable. Now, at this point, I have no idea if my body can handle it, or even if it's legal to bicycle across China, which it turns out it isn't, but that didn't stop me. I didn't know if I could convince anyone to go with me on such a journey, but like Walt Whitman, I can feel the call to the open road. Like Thoreau, I want to discover the essential facts of life. I wish to learn what life has to teach, and not when I come to die, discover that I have not lived. I want to suck out all the marrow of life. If it proves to be mean, to get the whole and genuine meanness of it. Or if it's sublime, to know it by experience. So this is a photo of me 2 years later from that moment, about 20,000 miles later. I'd crossed Asia twice on my bicycle and crossed Europe from north to south and had just crossed through Syria and was making it into the border of Jordan. As it turns out, I did not make it across Mongolia or Russia, nor did I travel very much of the old Silk Road. The person that I set off on the trip with was not the person who I finished it with. So why am I telling you this a quarter of a century later? For two reasons. First, because I want to talk about the power of visualizing our future. And I also want to talk about what we can do when our imagined future does not turn out the way we expected. In a few days, we will be living again in the 20s. It's a new year and a new decade. I want to encourage us to be intentional. I want to talk about visualizing a positive future because we have the power of imagination. It's really quite incredible. We're the only creatures that we know of that have the ability to visualize things that haven't happened or don't even exist, and then to actually make them manifest and real in the world. So let's put this power of imagination to work for us to create the future that we want and that we hope for. Competitive athletes have learned to visualize their performances so that they can excel at their own sport. They find that it has significantly improved their ability to win and be successful. And yet, every athlete might visualize winning and doing the best, and yet not everyone ends up on the gold medal stand. So even though visualization is incredibly powerful, can be very effective, we don't always get what we want. So fortunately, we have another superpower as human beings, and that is to be able to change directions when we're wrong or surprised or astonished, and life has a way of surprising us. So when it does, we have the ability to continue to rediscover wonder and to chart a new course. So I want you to look at this image here of this boat traveling through the water. How do we know where this boat is going? It's not from the wake. The wake is telling us where the boat has come from, but it's not telling us where the boat is going. The driver is determining where the boat will go. I came across this idea from a talk by Tom Chu. He's the chief strategy officer for a consulting firm called Slalom. And he showed a similar picture in a talk that he was doing, and he invited us to visualize where this boat might be going. So I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Just in your own mind, try to imagine, where might this boat be going? So you've probably created some image in your mind of where this boat is headed. Anyone, any ideas? Anyone want to call out? Any ideas? What do you think? Your favorite fishing spot. Nice. I want to go fishing with you sometime. It's going to the dock. A safe bet that it's going to the dock or a dock. Any other? What's that? Cuba. I like that. Marilyn, what'd you say? Oh, a cruise ship. It's going to a cruise ship. Nice. Take a river cruise. I love it. You all have great imaginations. So before the end of the year, I want to encourage you to spend some time and visualize where the boat of your life could go. Most people spend a lot of time, too much time, focusing on what's lacking in their life. They focus on what they do not have. I do not have the spouse I want, or the house I want, or the body I want. There's a strong tendency to focus on what we lack. Yet focusing on what's lacking depletes our energy. It actually drains and sucks the life out of us. But focusing on what we long for gives us energy. It pulls us towards something. When we're feeling that we're lacking something, there's always a longing associated with it. The key is not to focus on the lacking, but to focus on the longing that is behind it. And the reason is that the longing creates a tension. It creates this tension. We know where our current reality is, and we have this longing for something. It's like a rubber band being pulled, and there's this tension, and the tension helps to pull us towards that for which we're longing. Now, some people ask me, well, why doesn't it pull us back towards, our current reality? And the reason I think it doesn't do that is because our current reality is always changing. We're always in a state of change. Whereas if we have a focused intention and we're clear that reality is more stable than our current reality, and the tension helps to draw us towards that for which we long. Now, one of the reasons that I'm talking about this morning is that there are a couple of ways that people have found to create vision and keep a vision in front of themselves. So I wanted to be real specific this morning. I mean, some people will use visualization, meditation, some way to imagine what they want or what they want to see happen or accomplish, and then some people will do this every morning. They'll get up. Some people do this before a board meeting. I have board meetings with the board of trustees. Sometimes we have a big meeting. I'll try to imagine a presentation I'm going to give or how the meeting's going to go. You can visualize you're going to have maybe a difficult conversation with somebody, or maybe you're going to propose to somebody. You can visualize how that's going to go, and some of that can really help us to focus on the future. But another way that it's become quite popular is for people to create vision boards. I don't know if you've ever done that or if you've seen anyone to do that. But you take clippings, you could take pictures from magazines, you can draw things, you can take quotes and words that are focused on things that you want to see in your life or in the world, and put that into a visual, literally into a colorful visual form, and then people will put that up on their mirror so that they see it every morning when they get up, and take a second to just focus on it and remember, this is what I'm trying to be. This is what I'm trying to create with my life. This is what I'm hoping I'll be able to be a part of. And so some people will put it up in their office or someplace where they can just take a few moments every day and just put that image in front of them. Now, it's an amazing power, this power of visualization, to help us achieve our goals and manifest our intentions. Because it helps us keep our eye on the prize, literally, of what we're trying to create. There's an expression, if you don't know where you're going, all roads will lead you there. So if you try it, I think you'll be amazed at how this works. And maybe you'll have some time before the end of the year, where there's a few more days left, or maybe on January 1st, when you're waking up from whatever you did the night before, you'll have a little free time and you can do something, get on the internet, print out some pictures or cut out some pictures from a magazine and create your own vision for this year or even this decade, what you hope to create. Now, as you can tell, I'm a big believer in visualization, but I'm also a big believer in the idea that we don't always know what we need. We're not omniscient, and we can't control what happens to us. You know, the driver of the boat can be going somewhere, but if he's not in Lake Michigan, he or she's not in Lake Michigan, it's not going to make it to Chicago, right? There are limitations for what we can do, even though we do have a lot of control over our lives. But we also don't even always know what's good for us. Some of the greatest minds of all times have misjudged due to a shortness of vision. In 1903, the president of Michigan Savings Bank warned Henry Ford's lawyer, Horace Rackham, to protect his money. The horse is here to stay, but the automobile is only a novelty, a fad. Thomas Edison, great Unitarian, in fact, invented the light bulb, but he couldn't be right all the time. In an interview with the Miami newspaper in 1911, he went all in on America's booming steel industry, predicting the babies of the 21st century will be rocked in steel cradles. His father will sit in a steel chair at a steel dining table, and his mother's boudoir will be sumptuously equipped with steel furnishings. The science editor of the New York Times wrote in 1950 that in the future, to clean the house, we will simply turn on a hose and hose everything down. Furniture, upholstery included, rugs, draperies, unscratchable floors will all be made of synthetic fabrics or waterproof plastic, he said. After the water has run down a drain in the middle of the floor, we will turn on a blast of hot air to dry everything. Our vision is not always great. We don't always have the greatest ideas or best ideas. Steve Ballmer, the CEO of Microsoft, said in 2007, we don't have to go back a century for these kinds of predictions. Steve Ballmer said, there's no chance that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. No chance, he emphasized. So even as strongly as I encourage you to be intentional, to create a vision for your future, I also want to remind you that our vision can be short-sighted in some ways. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that we do not always get what we want. I've just learned a long time ago, I would have screwed up my life so badly if I got everything I wanted all along the way. There was a time when I thought I wanted to be a rock star. I would have been a disaster as a rock star. But the last thing I would have imagined for my own life would have been to be a minister. And yet, here I am doing what I absolutely love and am passionate about, what gives my life such meaning and such a sense of satisfaction. So I hope you'll set some goals and some intentions for the year and the decade to come, but then be open to how life will surprise you and be prepared to adjust your course. In other words, be prepared to be wrong, because that's also a part of a successful life. Almost all of us have parts of our lives that don't work out the way that we had hoped or expected. I heard a TED Talk recently by author Catherine Schultz on being wrong. She said that when she was researching the topic of being wrong, she was also listening to the radio show This American Life incessantly. She just found herself listening to it over and over. And she realized that all she was hearing in these stories were stories about people whose lives had things in them that had gone wrong. And so she started to wonder, because she was researching things, going wrong, she thought, maybe I'm just hearing what I'm expecting to hear. And then a short while later, she had a chance to interview Ira Glass, the producer of This American Life, one of the most popular radio shows of the past 2 decades. And as she was talking to him, he explained that they have one basic theme for their radio program, which is, I thought this one thing was going to happen, and this other thing happened instead. It's one of the most popular radio shows because as Schultz explains, the reason these stories work and are so popular is that we need stories of surprise and reversal and wrongness, because that's what life is like. That's what our own lives feel like. We enjoy stories with plot twists and surprise endings, not always when it's our own story, but we love to read stories and hear stories that have these kinds of twists. When we're listening to the stories we love, we usually love stories that don't turn out the way that we're expecting as we're reading along, because that's what real life feels like. The world astonishes us over and over. And when it does, we have to come up with another idea. We have to tell another story. We have to embrace the mystery. When I set out on my bicycle 30 years ago from Japan, I set out to discover the essential facts of life. If it proved to be mean, to get the whole and genuine meanness of it. If it was sublime, to know it by experience. What I discovered is that with intention, we can achieve a lot more than we ever knew. I also discovered that life is vast and mysterious and complex beyond our understanding. So our superpowers include, number 1, visioning and imagining and setting intentions. Number 2, being able to redirect when necessary. And number 3, being able to rediscover wonder in every moment and in every season of our life. To rediscover wonder in every moment and every season of our life. When we can do these 3 things, we are more likely to have a happy new year and a happy life, no matter what happens. The new year is upon us. What will you choose to do with the rest of your one precious life? Let us join in singing hymn number 128.
you're visiting with us online today. We love connecting with people all across the country and around the world, sharing our powerful message of love beyond belief.
There's something new happening here. You can now join All Souls as a virtual member. Our virtual membership is designed for friends who live outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and who want to engage with All Souls in a meaningful way.
You can be part of an expanding family, a global family really, wherever you are. If you live in Oklahoma,
Ohio,
or Orange County, California,
Canada,
or Cameroon. By becoming a virtual member, you'll be able to deepen your connections with members and friends here in Tulsa and with members wherever you are.
Each week, you'll receive special All Souls content tailored for you, our virtual members. Virtual members have access to pastoral care, to personal prayers, and also receive invitations to exclusive web events.
You can learn more, and if you're ready, you can become a virtual member today by visiting allsoulschurch.org/virtual membership.
We're grateful our ministries are having a positive impact on your life, and we want to share the good news of love beyond belief with more and more people. So no matter what, we need your support to keep this ministry growing and thriving, so please consider making a gift today. You can do so by texting
Love BB for Love Beyond Belief to 73256 or simply visit our website. You are a blessing in our lives. May you be blessed
and be a blessing.